We welcome all to our interview with experts at UniqEduStory. Today, we interview a veteran, Col.Sushobit Kamra. One of the aims in our life directed towards our child's future is preparing for our children to open their wings to a whole new world. Enhancing our children's abilities and identifying their career or course options can be done by encouraging them to relate to what they discover about themselves and also by talking to them about what they like or dislike in activities and their fields of interest. As a parent, we can provide practical support to kids in four areas, that is, self awareness, opportunity awareness, decision making, and transition support. A detailed discussion with our esteemed panelists at UniqEduStory brings us clarity in helping our child's growth and development. Today at UniqEduStory Expert Interviews, we are interviewing a veteran, Col.Sushobit Kamra, spanning 32 years plus of myriad experiences in army in fields of operations, HR, administration, etc. Col.Sushobit Kamra has been a continuous learner come mentor. He is also an alumnus of prestigious IIT Bombay, from where he completed his MTech. He acquired an MBA, PGDM, and MSc, and number of other certifications in his hat. He calls himself a technocrat with exposures to both technical arenas and holding higher management positions. Over the long period, he had the opportunity to be a leader of men in extreme conditions. Values acquired during his long army career sets his approach apart. He has mentored, coached, and guided in the Army's prestigious college as well as corporates. His special areas of interest are into leadership training, stress management, time management, safety management, and hosts of other knowledge sets. Colonel Kamra has experience as Chief Operations Officer as well as is the Vice President of another corporate. Now, if I continue describing Colonel Kamra, it will take me very long. So, let's welcome him on board the UniqEduStory platform. A very warm welcome, sir, to the UniqEduStory Expert Interviews.
Good morning, viewers, and thank you, Madhu ma'am. I'm rather, extremely overwhelmed by what all you found out and what all you described about me. And you made me, thinking that hopefully that this session will be of better use to all the people who are looking forward to their children's development. I will make all my efforts towards the same. And before we continue, I also want to appreciate your initiatives at UniqEduStory. Madhu ma'am, your journey, what I've known about you, has been equally, very, very encouraging. And the tasks which you have in hand are for the betterment of many. So wish you also good luck, and thank you for having me on board today.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful wishes for the Unique EduStory's future. Thank you so much. As we begin, the first question that comes to my mind is, how is addressing the aspirations and needs of the age group 5 to 15 years of children is important and different?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question. Now, I am going to talk about this particular age group because if you see the entire lifespan of the person, whatsoever he is, wheresoever he is, and all his responses, all his reactions, all his methods of handling his, things whatsoever come in his way, as per me, get formed into these formative years. Now, let us try and understand slightly better. When the child is 5 years, that is the time he is moved out from his, cushy environment or the cushioning of his parents or the home, and he's moved out to, explore the new things. So a lot of dynamics start changing, the interpersonal relationships, the interactions, the expectations, meeting his peers, and all that thing. A new world starts entering his arena. And as it continues for next 10 to 12 years, around 15, 16 years, the journey continues as well. And that is the time that he has formed up all about himself. As I said, all the reactions and responses, because this is the time he has been with his parents. After 17 years, 16, 17 years, he will be leaving his house for higher education and things like that. So all his responses and reactions when he goes to perform later on would have got formed here only. Not only that, all his expectations of the life, his personal career aspirations also, his decisions, what he wants and where he lands up to, all have got formed here only. So this is one area of life. If we strengthen it and if it is, managed in some other ways, it is very, very important. So that is what I want to say about this age group. Yes, Madhu.
Yes. So science tells us that whatever we experience in the first few years of our lives impacts our subconscious mind. Therefore, a very strong foundation is needed for the positive future development of a child.
Yes.
And this is the time when we all know are the formative years of our child. So we need to be very vigilant in our every action or reaction in whenever we are surrounded by them or we are in their surroundings. So we need to be very vigilant. And so while we were discussing about this interview topic, a thought came to your mind that we must be opening our minds to a whole new world. This remains a suspense to me, sir. So could you just elaborate on this and unfold it all for us?
Madhuji, having known about slightly about you, I have just wondered what I should be responding to interview, and it was actually out of the box type of approach only. But yes, today I sit with you in a very, very concise thought process which has been formed ever since last 2-3 weeks that we conceived of this idea. So when I say opening the world mind to a whole new world, as this is the topic of the day of our interview, I want to tell everyone that actually speaking, the world is same. But what I want people to do here is to start looking on different perspective. Open your eyes to a whole new world. That means having a denovo look of whatsoever you have been doing. I will also say that most of the people, like who are in the mid 40s, 50s, who are in the parenting periods, what generally we see they're doing is 50-60% or more today are just doing the same way as they were brought up when they were children. So they are having the conventional view. I'm going to use this term, conventional view here, right? Conventional view says that this is the age of the child, push him into studies. Then start thinking about his career. Then push him into the college and just, make him fend for the life for himself, right? So this is the conventional view. I also call this as a myopic view.
Okay.
So I want the people to be thinking that there is something else also possible, which they can do while managing their journey and future of their children. So that is my take when they need to open their eyes.
Uh-huh. So this
Okay,
means that we need to thoughtfully plan and mind map all
yes,
our actions in the journey of upbringing our children, right?
yes, something like that. Exactly, you said it.
Okay, sir. So now, sir, we would also like to know what steps or metrics should we use as a modern day or a conscious parent during the upbringing journey of our children?
Right. So, Madhuji, I'd like to answer this question in this manner. Like, now that, say that we've identified this period, we are convinced that 5 to 15 is formative and it's very, very important. So, what should I do to control this period? That should be the next question, isn't it? So, my suggestion to the people who are with us is that they should preferably try and segment it into a smaller part. This 10 to 12 years, 10, 11 years, into say 1/5, 1/6 parts for 4, 5, 6, 7 parts they can divide into.
Okay.
And they can think of certain milestones which their children should achieve or could achieve in a better manner, and also try to evaluate if the child is performing better in that arena or not. If we talk of the conventional views, there were something called IQ, intelligence quotient, or the emotional quotient, EQ. Today the world is not the same. You have to think beyond. People are now today thinking of different quotients which have got added. Some of them which I'll be making people aware about are happiness quotient. Is your child getting that happiness during his journey or course of his upbringing or not? Look at it. This has got added. Then there is an awareness quotient. Awareness is how well he responds to his different situations. So that is there. Then there's something called PQ, which I came across sometime back. PQ stands for the passion quotient. Now, when you have thought of developing these metrics, you can also divide this journey into those stages, and you can use this time of his formative years to find out his passions.
Absolutely.
So the moment you have found out his passions, there are certain passions. I'll elaborate. There are certain passions like, you can tell a child to learn music or take to the drawing board when he is 5, 6, 7, 8. Right. But you may not be able to tell him to take a cricket bat before, say, 9, 10 years, right? So you have to plan your metrics. What is applicable when? When will you like him to go for the board games? To evaluate all his passions, right? So these are some methods you are going to evaluate the child's journey during this course.
Oh, this is mind-blowing. I mean, you
different
have
view,
answered this question altogether with a different perspective. And I never thought it this way, that you can actually divide the whole thing and you evaluate according to his age. So this is such an amazing answer. Thank you so much. Then another question would be that how do I nurture the thoughts of my child? And what factors would affect the growth of my child?
Good one again, ma'am. You see, my response here is that in order to be able to nurture the children's thoughts, much before that, I have to re-engineer my own self. I will say nurture your own thoughts. Okay. Now I'll elaborate something here. Okay. You see, the children are observing every day, and what eventually gets produced is the product of their crisscross environmental interactions during 5 to 15. So, having repeated this point, I'm saying that if the child sees his father responding arrogantly at home in a situation of conflict, or when there was somebody on the road, road rages, rash driving. There are a number of situations the child is observing, right? If you want your child to be a better performer or a wiser performer, you need to first control and re-engineer and nurture yourself. This journey will involve a lot of cautious approach. You have to be taking a very, very conscious decision that, look, I will not make so and so happen. This will not be the situation in my house or my environment. And that is how the child will be able to look into it and be able to, respond in a better way, or gets nurturing in a better way. So over to you, ma'am.
Such deep thinking, sir. So you meant to
Yeah,
say
the
that
parents have to.
you show
Parents have to
the
become the
light on
beacons.
a beacon to your
Yeah.
child, and then you say that the child is observing so minutely, so I must be a role model. This is what you have actually said, and this is really needed to be applied in our daily routines and daily lives while bringing up our children. Amazing, sir. This is absolutely beautiful.
Okay.
Sir, if I wish to shape my child's career.
Sorry. Yeah.
So if I wish to shape my child's career, when do I start?
Another interesting question. Since we started, talking about 5 to 15 and things like that, you got me thinking backwards. I was in some group of people. There were a number of parents and number of children were there. So one of the questions asked to me was, sir, I want to send my child to army. I said, very good. Sir, he's in class nursery. How many hours of study should he do?
Oh.
So I started, he took my mind a step back, and I started thinking, I just replied to this gentleman. I said that, look, this is not the time when you are going to push him against his wishes. You have to give him time to grow up, bloom, and do himself better. So this is the time, just maybe an hour or so if you're doing of education or the bookish time, if so to say, is more than enough. What you should focus is developing him holistically. So this is the time when you ask me, when do I start? So I mean to say, before starting, you have to take many, many more things in mind. Firstly, you should have, as per my calculations, you should have taken his passions into the mind, which I said slightly earlier, that you have to see what he suits best for. The actual world, Madhuji, shows that 70% plus minus have not done eventually in life what they studied.
Okay. Yes, so true.
Right? There are so many parents. Bada ho ja, you will join my business, right? You put in into the commerce field, or else do this. You will have to become a doctor because we need doctors in our family. A lawyer saying that you have to take on my line when you grow up, right? Things like that. So in all this thing, what has happened is that sometimes you have not taken the best what was suited for him, right? So let some portion of the journey go through at least till 10, 12 years before you started making this little bit of cautious effort about finalizing his decision or directions or helping him to take that decision, and never force it then also. Nothing going through the gut, still you will not force it down. That is what I would like to say. So that is how I'll respond to this. Yeah.
Beautiful. So then comes the prime question, as you said, that how do you find your child's passion and how to tap his best potential?
Yeah. Ma'am, you have once again taken me to some thoughts which I will talk about. You see, I've come across people who in their 60s or 70s, I've heard about them in media and WhatsApp and different this thing, started taking to the drawing board or to the music instrument. 65, 70, somebody started a business, right? Things like that. And when they took to that drawing board, they excelled and they became known to the world. Similarly, when they were interacted with and asked that what happened, why did you not do it all these years and all those things, you would have, become much ahead in this path. So they responded that actually I never got time to find my passion. And when was the time to find the passion? It was those formative years. Once again, come back to 5 to 15 years. So it is very, very important that their passions are found. One more example of somebody who in mid-50s starts thinking that she wants to do something different for the world. And she starts interacting with people to make them more empowered, making them happy. And when asked that, why did you do this before? They said, I was busy bringing up my children and doing my duties to my family. And my dear friends, you may be amazed to know this. Whom I'm speaking about is our own Mrs. Madhu. I was talking about you, and I stand. Am I right, Madhuji?
Absolutely,
You
sir.
have taken
Absolutely.
your passion journey. You have also taken passion. So your answer was somewhere in your question
so
to this thing,
true. So very true
it
about
applies to
this.
you.
Absolutely, sir.
So हुआ क्या है कि now this 5 to 15 years is the passion finding time, right? Going back to my answer, I would say that you have to provide the child with all possible arenas where he gets explored. That means 5 to 6, 7 years, you will push him to the swimming pool, give him that drawing board, give him that music instrument. Further down, you will give him those sports and other items which he gets to explore. And all this simultaneously with his growth of his education as well, of course. Education is there. That importance of education is there, I'll say. But howsoever, you have to find out where he performs better. You have to see what is his natural instinct. And you may be amazed. One may be amazed to find out that a record-breaking performance in the next athletics or the swimming event was their own child. This remains unexplored because the passion journey has not been taken or kept into the mind. Right? So you should again use all these 10 to 12 years, give him all types of arenas, put him on the horse's back, put him into the swimming pool, and likewise give him all possible the things in his life that he can know about and become a better human being as well.
So right now, just assessing the current times, I think the parents in the current time are much more aware. And these parents are amazing. They know how to take care of their kids, and they are actually doing all these steps. They are taking all these aware steps of doing things, of finding the passion of their child and making them do all these extra activities to find what is their interest. So normally we would consider that the life takes over and we forget our passions. It happens so.
Yes.
It has happened with me, of course. And then there comes a time that we remind ourselves of achieving our dreams. Yes. Each of one can relate to this. And then should we conclude that, should I plan my child's future or let him bloom on his own? What do you say, sir?
I will say that slight guidance is required. Without guidance, he has not been able to, he will never be able to explore everything by himself. You are at a better position to keep a watch, but just try him. The final blooming up will be his own. His decisions will be there, but you have tried to give him all the possible platforms for his self-evolutionary journey.
So that is important, where we are actually letting the child bloom. And this is ongoing with the current times parents. And I really appreciate these parents. So often there is a dilemma of the approach that a parent should take while interacting with their child. and one of the parents, either one of them, they want the child to be very disciplined and obedient. So would you like to give some opinion on this?
Madhuji, once again, I am reminded of around 2 months back or something, we had a session where there was a leadership journey. So there was one of the speakers who was there while we were talking. It was a leadership meeting, but then it came, somehow the question got diverted and the person started talking about leadership within the families. Okay. So one of the person in that journey said that in my house, my husband takes all the decisions. And he's the discipline master, and he has been offloaded all the disciplining work. Okay. And this discussion continued. And there is another person, and she happened to say, no, I am the discipline maker of my house. I take all the decisions of disciplining my system, and it is my responsibility. So I was quiet, and in the end, they happened to ask me, sir, what is your take? You are sitting quiet. I said, for a moment, I said, I think the things have not evolved. So that meeting was taken, it had taken a sort of setback that what is going to come out now this time, And my answer was that, there are things which were again possible, which have not been taken into account. Don't you think, as per me, don't you think that parents can be the role models?
Absolutely.
They can be the cheerleaders as well.
Absolutely.
A slight amount of discipline is all which may just be needed. But that also comes in if you are a good role model, if you have nurtured or re-engineered, as I answered some time back, if you have nurtured or re-engineered yourself. So I will also say that, you have to be not as a true leader and all like that. You can also have an approach, which I also took somewhere in the later part of my journey. You know that I'm from Army, and my approach had been there, different leadership styles. And while I say there's a style called autocratic leader and all those things. So in my later part of journey, what I realized, and in the corporates more so, is an approach of democratic come facilitator type. There are around 8 to 9 leadership styles. So one approach which has been very good is facilitator approach. In the facilitator approach, the leader is the person who knows the way, who shows the way, and who also goes the way, right? And this is how the productivity is better. Remember, our children are yet very, very soft and tender. When we talk of this age group 5 to 15, they have yet to bloom up. So if you have been their role model, if you are facilitating their entire journey process, firstly, your acceptance throughout your long life. Let me tell you, there are people who remember their parents too sweetly because their parents had nurtured them in a different manner. Okay? Today also there are people who would vouch for this, right? And this is also possible because their parents somewhere were their partners in progress, their friends, and had carried the entire things on their shoulders in a different way or slightly different way. So a facilitator approach and all those things which I mentioned is one of my suggestions to the people, so that the best self-driving forces are evolved and passion towards the goal, participation and zeal, everything comes within the own person's heart. Back to you, Madhuji.
So, according to you, we must be a facilitator or a partner in crime or in fun, yes, or in doing, yes, anything with the child, very along much with the child. We must be a person who knows the way, who shows the way, and who goes the way, right? And yes, then I must be a role model or a cheerleader, which will really help in the development of my child beautifully in his journey, right? Yes. Amazing, sir. Thank you so much. This was amazing. So the summer vacations are also coming, or rather have already begun. So would you have any tips that would, open our mind to a whole new world?
Okay, I'll put it across this way, Madhuji. that at whatsoever stage of life the children and the parents, whosoever uh, are listening to us or end up listening to this eventually when it is on the larger platforms of the media, I would tell them that, you should immediately start planning your summers. And as I had said sometime before, evaluate this summer for his passions journey. If in his routine you have not been able to find out the true potential and the passions of the child, use the summer totally to give him those platforms which make him help, and do not push it. I would again give a word of caution here. Pushing is not this thing. You take him along as a facilitator and use the current summer, this thing. You do a planning with the child and you do give him one or two different platforms from his routine, whether it was that swimming pool, whether it was that drawing board or something different, so that the journey gets facilitated and your directions also get helped. Okay, because this is the time he's got slightly more time available other than the school routine.
Wow. So this is a very good tip you give for the summer vacation that can be well spent. And you also suggested about some books to read, sir. What was that?
Yes. Yeah. You can you see the reading is gone as a thing of past. Okay, let it be Kindle or let it be paperback editions or something, but give him something in his hand. And again, before giving, have a book in your own hand also.
Absolutely,
A
sir.
role model. Okay.
Role
Yeah.
model.
Yeah.
So today we find that these devices, when you're talking about Kindle, so
Hanji.
these devices or the social media are consuming us more and more, sir. And thereby the children tend to become either the victims, and they do not know where to, or rather even we do not know where to put an end to this entire situation. So the burning question is, like, how do I put this to an end?
Madhuji, I'll say that these devices are now a part of our journey. We do understand that with all of us, you, me, we are all using this right now also. But what is to be changed here is the approach of how much should I consume before the devices consume me. So what happens is that today, while the parents are much more alert, many of them may be working from home still, or some other situations are there, they have to cautiously take out time for spending with their children. Till the time you have not told them that there is a carom board in the house, there are some other things, there is a gymnasium for your physical, there are some other things available to you. Gradually, let me assure you, if you felt happy that a 5-year-old has started operating computer, you will not know when he has got consumed by it. And more so when he finds that his father working totally on computer, his mother consumed by computer. You have to be very, very cautiously, firstly, again, become a role model. And without showing him that those alternative avenues, right, in those formative years, let me tell you, 5 to 10 years, at least, the things are much better in control. The children are listening to you. If you have provided them those platforms, which could have possibly helped in their journey ahead, then you would have limited their time. And if the child is already 15, 16, 17, this task becomes a very, very difficult task. Let me tell you. That time they have already formed all their decisions. Okay. So, so the people should start acting as early as possible and go ahead on this. Yeah.
So, according to you, this burning question can be resolved by being in an environment of devices being very, purposely used and wisely used, right? And that there should be more interpersonal interaction amongst family members, and
Yes.
there should, which will result in the positive development of the child. And the family members should have this in mind as their core agenda, that I need to do something for the betterment of my child. So this is why
Yes.
I have to limit use of the devices myself and even for the kid.
Yes, very much.
Or wisely use, not just limit use. Maybe since we are essentially using it, but then it should be wisely used. So generally, children end up having conflicts with their peers. So due to personality clashes or interpersonal relationship. So what is your view on conflict management or any of the responses to criticism, especially in the age of 5 to 15 years, sir? Could you just throw some light on this?
Yeah, correct. Madhuji, this is again a good question, I'll say, because remember my opening questions, which we happen to talk about today. I said these are the formative years, right? Now, conflict is something which is bound to come in due course of life, right? When they open their eyes more and more, say 10 years plus, and then colleges, then the jobs, everywhere the conflicts will be there. And same is the situation as I'll interweave that a thing also, criticism. So they will, all of us would have come across somebody else's views are always different from your views. No two brains think alike. These are certain things which have to be very, very awarely thought about with full awareness. So what I would say is that in case you as a parent had taken that decision, when you came across that situation of rash driving, somebody against you was there, or a fight in one of the colonies, or some other awkward situation in the office, if you had come back even and discussed it in your home. So what is the right approach as per me is that here the parents have to start thinking in a different manner. And one of the approaches is that whenever a situation of conflict comes, I would suggest you take a step back, teach your children to take a step back, think about it, and then react. Then respond. I can tell you that this type of response will be much better quality response compared to a spontaneous reaction, which comes out and is generally a symbol of little arrogance in your approach. Likewise, when it comes to criticism, you have to step back, think if there is any merit in the criticism, and decide whether you would like to go along with the views of the other person. Then please do so and even thank him. Or else go and softly convince him, not immediately maybe, but at a subsequent this thing by your followed up actions that he gets convinced. Okay. So this can just be attempted. This is a better approach, a peaceful approach, and a mature approach. If somebody had learned to live it this way, you can understand कि जो 40-45 years में उनके responses होने वाले थे रोड पे भी और ऑफिस में भी, आपने उनके कई चीजों को आपने बचा दी. Because he has learned, the child has learned, he or she has learned to respond in this manner only. He will be a better decision taker. He will come out more successful and will be a better manager of his conflicts and criticisms all around. So this is my suggestion, that you need to open your mind to a whole new approach or a whole new world for designing your child's journey, right?
Such words of wisdom, sir.
Yeah.
Only if I knew better, I would have done better. So the child is actually consuming his environment into the subconscious mind. And this is going to go a long way impacting his responses in future. So here, my anger transformation workshop, which I plan to bring up, is really going to work, sir. I mean, this is where, I have in mind this anger transformation workshop, which is really going to work for the kids, where they have all those tech tools and techniques. They learn it right from a small age and apply, and obviously it will not be the same responses in the years to come for them. Absolutely beautiful, sir.
And all what I have tried to talk today with you, ma'am, in this semi-formal, informal talk interview, whatever we call it, is, is something which is not being propagated by many who have just bought a fixed line of thinking. I'll talk about psychologists and many other people who are on board with a different perspective. But however, I mean to say something which is much more practical is what I am going to, or I have tried to recommend in this. And with a decent amount of surety that the results are better than the conventional or the myopic view.
Absolutely beautiful, sir. And sir, did you also achieve whatever you wished in life to? Can you just share any incident about that?
I had actually perceived that you may not be asking for that matter. This thing, I will like to answer this one. That in my case too, it was something like man proposes and God disposes.
Mm-hmm.
The tunnels or the conventional view systems were also different, right? Around my journey of upbringing. But however, to share with you, I was an ardent, student of engineering, and during my early college or the higher school days, I was pursuing all that thing, a scholarship holder, and all those merits and position holders, and everything was there. But somehow the wave which came, as an adversary to me was the situation in my state, in the northern part of the country, and our work and business. I come from a business family, and my journey was getting towards the business. But then it had got changed. But at the end of the day, and as you know that I joined army rather than having remained in this thing, and 32, 33 years have gone by in uniform also. But at the end of the journey, I still perceive that I got much more. I was focused that I need to be an engineer. I became an engineer through the army channel, did all this MTech even eventually, and have been able to be one of the blessed persons, I'll say. Is somewhere the God had carved a different thing for me, but I feel a very, very satisfying journey, a much more holistic, and the journey which I might have gone through while I was being tested of my presence on this earth and in this life and in this shape. So I have got different, but yes, interesting perspective, and a very fruitful and eventual gainful life perspective from my life.
Thank you so much, sir, for this amazing. You have given us an entirely different perspective of bringing up our child. And then it is just too amazing to think differently and apply it this way. And we are coming, sadly, but then we are coming to the end of this interview. And as a surprise, we have a rapid fire question. Do I have the permission to go ahead, sir?
I used to be on the, with my equipment and guns somewhere, and you have the honor to do this right now. Rapid fire. Go ahead. Yeah.
So name the first thing that comes to your mind.
First thing, Madhuji. Peace for all.
Peace for all. Coming from the army. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it comes from my heart.
Yes, sir. And how do you generate new ideas? As I've seen you, it comes in the spurt of a moment, sir.
Okay, so I'll say close and open your eyes.
Oh,
close.
So you just close your eyes and then you open your eyes and you
open your eyes.
A new idea. Wow, sir, this is amazing. And if your life was a story, what would it be titled?
Okay, I'll say surprises and new evolutions.
Surprises and evolutions.
And new evolutions.
Wow. And sir, what is happiness to you?
Happiness, Madhuji, from my perspective, is making people smile.
Okay.
Making people smile.
Great. And what has been the most satisfying moment of your life? The last question, sir.
Okay. I would like to say my present.
Okay. So being in the present
Being in the present, my present moment.
is your most satisfying.
So, yeah.
This is worth learning, that we must always be in the present and be
Can it be?
satisfied.
Can it be? Ask yourself, can it be?
I'll have to learn it, sir. So
Can
many
it be?
things I am learning from you. Amazing. And thank you so much in this interview. We have learned a lot, and everything comes to you so beautifully, sir. And in this, I am really, thankful to you that you've answered so many questions with such amazing new tools and techniques you have actually defined, where we need to upbring our child. So here we come to the end of this interview. We have Sushant Mysorkar sir here. So Sushant sir, if you have any question, you could please ask. And otherwise, we actually...
Yeah. Actually, Madhuji, I'll like to add to what you were saying.
Sir.
There is this interaction with you has been equally interesting for me today. And, like what we talked about is only the surface. Okay. If I would say that, I have friends in my knowledge who have very formal and, those methods which they've been following in their path of life, where they've been also nurturing a lot of children. So in case we can be of some help, anybody who's happened to be listening to us today, I would say they're most welcome. And one of the aim of my life is to give back the knowledge whatsoever has been acquired over the life, and make more people smile, as I also answered a while back. So they can connect you, or through you, me, or anything. And I have my friends who can help them, evaluate the potential of the child and be a surprise performer in their own life. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. We can do this, and we will just post all the links in the description. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And this is one of my aims too, where I wish to bring happiness and smiles in the life of people, and maybe be of service. This is giving back to the society time. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, pleasure, ma'am. It was wonderful being on board with you today. And I have equally...
The pleasure was all mine, sir. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much also, ma'am. Okay, bye-bye.